Welcome back to Inherited Dawn, a One Piece podcast. We are breaking down chapter 1170 today, and man, what a title. The Prince's Burden.
And what a burden it is. A weight that could shatter a giant.
No kidding. We have to start at the end. I can't even wait. I just have to get it out. Loki kills his own father. With a giant lightning attack infused with Supreme King Haki, he shatters Harald to pieces while his dad tells him he loves him. Are you kidding me? I had to look again just to make sure my eyes weren't lying to me.
It was one of the heaviest moments we've had in a long, long time. The weight of the crown, quite literally, being forged in the act of patricide. It's Greek tragedy on a colossal scale.
I'm still reeling. I feel like I just got hit with an Elbaph spear myself. Okay, let's back up and go through everything that happened because every single moment was just, wow, nothing missed the mark this week.
Let's start with Loki in the treasure room, the calm before the storm.
Right, so Loki's facing down this legendary devil fruit of Elbaph. It's just sitting there in a chest, looking all epic and mysterious. And you're thinking, okay, here's the power-up moment. But then this guardian, Ragnir, which is just this massive, ornate warhammer, comes to life and crashes into a pillar. Loki dodges, and suddenly the whole floor starts collapsing under Ragnir's weight. That thing is dense. We're talking sea stone level density, maybe more.
And Harald is explaining this from his own fight, which is such a fantastic bit of parallel action. He says no one has ever been able to eat the fruit because Ragnir is its guardian. It attacks anyone it deems unworthy. This adds a whole new layer to devil fruits, doesn't it? We've heard they have a will of their own, that they choose their users. The Nika fruit is the prime example. But here, we have a fruit with a literal physical bodyguard. A devil fruit with its own bouncer. That's insane.
It's like trying to get into the world's most exclusive club, and the bouncer is a 10-ton hammer that wants to turn you into a pancake. And Harald is so arrogant. He's standing there fighting Shanks and Gaban, and he's like, yeah, that thing is tough, but I'm a knight of God now. I could totally take him. Just as he says that, wham, Shanks and Gaban hit him with a combo attack. The timing was just perfect.
That arrogance is key to his character. But Gaban notices something crucial during that exchange. The wounds they're inflicting are healing, yes, but more slowly than before. He realizes that their power source, this covenant with the Knights of God, isn't infinite. It's a wellspring, but it can run dry. If they can just land enough consecutive powerful hits, they can actually take him down.
It's a video game, boss. You just gotta keep hitting the weak spot until the health bar goes down. And speaking of weak spots, then we get the lore drop of the century. My jaw hit the floor. Gaban tells Shanks that the one thing the Knights of God are weak against is Supreme King Haki.
This is a monumental piece of information, Franky. It reframes so much. Gaban says it's not just a weakness, it's almost like a conceptual counter. He explains that back in the day, the Knights used to constantly chase the Roger pirates, but they weren't after Roger. They were trying to get Shanks back.
A little kid! They were sending their super elite death squad after a kid in a straw hat on Roger's ship. What is that about?
Franky, think about what that means. They were trying to take a child back to marry Joas. The world government, the celestial dragons, they've wanted Shanks under their control since he was a boy on Roger's ship. This wasn't a recent development. This goes back decades. This really strengthens the idea of him being a Figarland. They weren't just chasing a random apprentice. They were chasing what they perceived as their property, a runaway prince.
And the Roger pirates just beat them up every time. It was a nuisance to them. Gaban says Shanks, as a kid, would just get annoyed and blast them with his hockey, and they'd give up and leave. That crew is just on another level. Can you imagine? A bunch of Knights of God show up all serious, and Roger's just sipping some grog like, Shanks, you got this? Go scare him off.
It reframes so much about Shanks' relationship with the world government, especially his meeting with the Gorosei. They don't just respect him as a Yonko. They have a personal, frustrating history with him. They know exactly how dangerous he and his specific type of hockey are to them and their forces. It's why they listen to him. It wasn't just political courtesy. It was an acknowledgement of a fundamental threat they have never been able to contain.
And that weakness, what do you think it is? Do you think it severs their connection to Emu or whatever's powering them?
That's my running theory. Haki is willpower. The Knights of God seem to have submitted their will to a higher power in exchange for strength. Supreme King Haki, the embodiment of an individual's indomitable will, might act as a direct counteragent. It disrupts the signal, so to speak. It reminds their body that they have a will of their own, creating an internal conflict that weakens the Covenant's power.
Wow. Okay, that makes so much sense. But even knowing this, Shanks is still trying to save Harald. He's such a good guy. He's saying he doesn't want to kill him, that he's still Loki's father. But Gaban is the pragmatist. He's like, it's too late. He made his choice. Loki is our only hope now. The torch is being passed right there, from the old generation to the new. Gaban is telling Shanks, our fight is over. It's the kids' turn now.
And back in the treasure room, Loki is trying to pass his own test. He's fighting this giant hammer, Ragnir, trying to get it to move, but it won't budge. He's a giant prince, one of the strongest people in Elbaph, and he can't even dent this thing. He hits it so hard with his own treasured hammer that his own hammer breaks.
I lost it at that moment. That's like Zoro shattering one of his swords on an enemy. He shatters his own weapon against this thing, the symbol of his own power and heritage. Gone. And you think he's failed. It's over. And then Ragnir starts squeaking. It wobbles, and it transforms. And it's a squirrel. A giant squirrel with the warhammer itself sitting on its head like a little crown.
It's an object that has eaten a devil fruit, a mythical squirrel zone, so it seems. We've seen this before with Spandam's sword, Funkfried, that ate the Zozo no Mi, and Mr. Four's dog gun, Lasso. It's a very rare but established part of the world.
The guardian of the legendary fruit of the giants is a Squirrel-Hammer. You can't make this up. But in that moment, Ragnir decides Loki is worthy. Why? Why then?
I don't think the test was ever about strength. How could it be? The Guardian is invincible. The test was about character. Loki was willing to sacrifice his own power, his own treasured weapon, to save the Guardian and protect his people. He wasn't trying to conquer Ragnir. He was trying to overcome it for a greater purpose. That self-sacrifice, that willingness to break what defined him to save others, that's the heart of a king.
So he didn't pass by winning, he passed by losing. Man, that's deep. So Ragnir is like, aye, you're cool, and allows him to eat the fruit?
It seems so. The Guardian steps aside, the test is passed, and the fruit is his.
And he does, just as Shanks and Gaban are getting pushed back, because it turns out Harald has Supreme King Haki too. The black lightning is everywhere. Gaban is shocked. He's like, since when? And then Loki shows up.
We only see him in silhouette, which is the classic way to hint at a major transformation reveal. Think of Luffy's Gear 4 or Gear 5 debuts, but we see enough. He's huge, powerful, and clashing evenly with his father, who is now in his full God's Knight form.
And the black lightning is coming off him too. Loki has Supreme King Haki. Of course he does. It runs in the family. This is what I'm talking about. The Prince of Elbaph stepping up, not with a weapon someone gave him, but with the power that was inside him all along.
His attack, this clash of wills, is so powerful it seems to momentarily break the Covenant's hold on Harald. The Arc Aura recedes. For a moment, his father is back. He looks at Loki, sees the Haki, the raw power, and he smiles. He says he knew he had it in him. He acknowledges him not just as a prince, but as his son, as an equal.
Man, this whole scene, my heart was in my throat. Harald says he has to finish him, that he's beyond saving. Loki is pleading, he's crying, saying he was just being controlled, that it wasn't his fault. But Harald, he says it was more like influence, that the power didn't force him, it enabled him, that he felt like a god, that a part of him enjoyed it.
That's the truly chilling part, and it's what separates him from a character like Kuma. It wasn't simple mind control. It was an amplification of his own pride, his own arrogance, his desire for power. He wasn't a puppet. He was a man who willingly gave in to his darkest temptations. In a way, that's far more tragic because he's culpable. He has to take responsibility for his own fall.
He tells Loki he has what it takes to lead Elbaph. He even asks him to get along with Hasrudin. Can you believe that? In his final moments, with the darkness creeping back in, he's trying to fix his family, to mend the bridges he burned. He's thinking of both his sons.
Then he delivers the line that broke me. He says he wanted to thank Loki, for Ida, for what he did at Brewer's Village. He knew all along that Loki burned down the village not out of malice, but because he loved her so much he couldn't bear to see her forced into a political marriage.
Oh my god, dude, that reframes everything. He wasn't just this blind, angry tyrant. He was a father watching his son, and he understood the motive behind the act. He says he was moved by how much Loki loved her, and you just see Loki's face crumble. The one act he thought to find him as a disappointment to his father was actually a moment of pride for him. The emotional whiplash is insane.
And as this is happening, the Covenant starts to take over Harald's body again. The shadows creep back, his eyes go blank, he's losing control. Loki is just weeping, screaming that he'll never forgive him for making him do this, for putting this burden on his shoulders. And Harald's last words are just, "I love you too." I can't. That's storytelling at its absolute peak right there. It's everything at once. It's a confession, a goodbye, and a final command. It's, "I love you, my son, and because I love you, you must kill me." The emotion is just completely off the charts.
Loki raises his arm and we see he's now holding Ragnir. The Squirrel-Hammer is his weapon. He's channeling his new devil fruit power and his newfound Supreme King Haki through it. He's combining all the elements, his inherited power, the power he earned, and the weapon that deemed him worthy. A massive Haki-infused lightning attack gathers. He unleashes everything.
And it just shatters him. It's not a clean blow. It's not a cut or a punch. He shatters into a million pieces like stone. It's brutal, and Loki is just left there on his knees, wailing, remembering his father's words from earlier in the arc about securing the future for their people. And he did it. He secured their future by destroying his own father, his own past.
Super. That was the moment, the birth of a king.
The prince's burden, indeed. He's king now, but what a coronation. A king who had to kill his father to claim the throne. That's a foundation of trauma and tragedy that will define his entire reign. Elbaph is free, but its new king is broken.
I need a minute. That was heavier than anything I was expecting from Elbaph. I thought we were going to get fun Viking adventures and Usopp proving he's a brave warrior of the sea. Instead, we get Shakespeare.
This arc isn't just about giants and Vikings. It's about fathers and sons, legacy, and the terrible choices leaders have to make. It's a core theme of the story, amplified to a giant scale.
Speaking of choices, Oda's author comment this week was interesting. He said he watched the Amy Winehouse movie and it gave him a new appreciation for her lyrics. You can kind of feel that tragic, soulful vibe in this chapter's ending. It's not a triumphant victory. It's a heartbreaking one.
It fits, doesn't it? The love and the pain all mixed together into something beautiful and devastating.
Okay, I've taken a breath. I've composed myself. Predictions. We gotta do predictions for chapter 1171. What do you have?
My first prediction, we will not see Loki's full transformation next chapter. I think we'll be waiting a bit for the big reveal. We will see the immediate aftermath, the giant guards, Shanks, and Gaban reacting to what just happened. I think the chapter will focus on the emotional fallout, on the silence after the storm.
Ooh, I hate that, but you're probably right. It's a classic move. Okay, my turn. I'm going the opposite way. I say first page, big splash image, we see Loki's full form, and the name of the fruit is revealed, the Hito Hito no Mi, model Thor. He used lightning, he's the prince of a Norse-themed kingdom, he's wielding a legendary hammer. It just fits perfectly.
A solid guess. It feels almost too perfect, which sometimes makes me wary. My second prediction is that we'll get a scene with Hyrudine. Harald mentioned him by name in his final moments. I believe Hyrudine will be the one to find Loki in his grief, and instead of challenging him, he'll be the first to bend the knee, uniting the two factions of giants behind their new tragic king. It would be a beautiful resolution to their sibling rivalry.
I like that a lot. That would be a great character moment for him, showing his own growth. Okay, my second prediction, Gaban is going to leave. His job is done. He brought Shanks here, he saw the new generation take the reins, but before he goes, he's going to tell Shanks one more thing, one final clue about the God Valley incident, or about Figarland Garling, something that directly sets Shanks on his next path, which will inevitably lead to a confrontation with the Knights of God.
An intriguing possibility. And for my final prediction, we cut away from Elbaph entirely at the end of the chapter. We've been here for a while. I think we'll get a check-in on one of the other Knights of God, maybe back at Mary Jawaz. They'll be sitting in a dark room and they will suddenly sense that Harald has fallen. It will establish that they're all connected through this covenant, and now they know one of their own has been defeated, turning their full attention towards Elbaph and the Straw Hats.
Oh my god, dude, that would be so cold. I love it. Okay, I've got one more, a more fun one. My last prediction is that Ragnir can talk. Now that Loki is worthy and has eaten the fruit, the Squirrel-Hammer is going to start giving him advice like a little Jedi raster on his shoulder. Use the Haki, Loki. Trust your feelings. Come on, a talking mythical weapon pet? It just feels so right for this world.
A talking Squirrel-Hammer. After this chapter, I wouldn't even be surprised at this point. It would almost be a welcome moment of levity.
That's the show for this week, everyone. What a chapter. An all-timer for my money. Let us know your theories and predictions in the comments. We'll see if we were right next time on Inherited Dawn.